The main Devourer force arrived like a storm of living lightning. Admiral Tae-ho watched from the bridge of his flagship as hundreds of energy beings poured into the Kepler system. Each Devourer was the size of a small moon, crackling with power, that made his ship's sensors scream warnings. "All ships, defensive positions," Tae-ho commanded. "Remember, we're not trying to win this fight. We just need to buy time for the ground team." The combined human and Kethmori fleet spread out across the system. Human ships equipped with Kethmori energy shields moved to protect the civilian evacuation vessels. The alien ships, with their ability to bend space around themselves, darted between the Devourers like bright silverfish. On the bridge's main screen, Tae-ho could see the outer planets of the system being consumed. The gas giant Kepler 442c simply vanished as three massive Devourers fed on its energy. Where a planet had existed moments before, now there was only empty space. "Sir, we're receiving reports from evacuation ships," Lieutenant Commander Ji-won called out. "The civilian transports are under attack. The Devourers are targeting anything that moves." "Send the 3rd Squadron to cover the evacuation and contact Captain Soo-jin on the planet's surface. We need to know how much more time they need." Deep in the underground command center on Kepler 442b, Captain Soo-jin was coordinating the most desperate defense in human history. Her atmospheric fighters were engaged in running battles with Devourer scouts that had penetrated the planet's atmosphere. "Jae-sung, report," she called into her communications headset. Pilot Jae-sung's voice crackled through the interference caused by the energy beings above. "Captain, these things are fast and they learn quickly. Every attack pattern we try, they adapt to it within minutes. We've lost 6 fighters in the last hour. Keep them busy. Hit-and-run tactics only. Don't try to destroy them, just keep them distracted." Soo-jin turned to her tactical display. The planet's surface was under constant attack from Devourer scouts. Each energy being that touched the ground consumed everything in its path. Forests, mountains, even the air itself disappeared into their hungry forms. "Seiya, what's the status on the communications grid?" Communications Officer Seiya looked up from her control panel. Her face was pale with exhaustion. She had been working for 18 hours straight to maintain contact between human and Kethmori forces. "The energy interference is getting worse. Captain, every time a Devourer gets close, our equipment starts failing. I'm having to reroute through backup systems constantly. Can you maintain contact with the research laboratory?" "For now, yes. But if they don't activate their containment system soon, we're going to lose all communications." In the research laboratory, Hyun-woo was no longer entirely human. Silver lines covered his entire body now, and his eyes glowed with the same energy as the Serpent device. He was connected to systems across the entire planet, feeling every attack, every loss, every desperate struggle of his friends and allies. "The conversion grid is at 60% power," he reported, his voice carrying strange harmonics. "But the Devourers are learning faster than we expected. They're avoiding the collection points." Engineer Min-ho was working desperately to bring more mining equipment online. "We need more power conduits. The system is overloading." "I can compensate," Hyun-woo replied. "But the neural integration is becoming more complex. I can feel my human consciousness merging with the Serpent AI." Physicist Yu-jin looked up from her instruments with worry. "Hyun-woo, your brain activity is changing. The alien technology is rewriting your neural pathways." "I know, but it's the only way to control the system effectively." Velthara approached the group, her glowing skin pulsing with urgent colors. "The main swarm has reached the inner system. If we don't activate the containment field in the next hour, the planet will be consumed." Above ground, the battle was becoming desperate. Admiral Tae-ho's fleet was taking heavy losses. Human ships, even with Kethmori shields, were no match for beings of pure energy. Each Devourer could drain a starship's entire power supply in seconds. "Admiral, we've lost the cruiser Horizon," Ji-won reported. "The energy feedback destroyed their entire electrical system." "Fall back to defensive position Beta," Tae-ho ordered. All remaining ships form a protective screen around Kepler 442b. But even as he gave the order, Tae-ho knew it was hopeless. The Devourers were too many and too powerful. The only hope was whatever Hyunwoo was attempting on the planet's surface. In the underground laboratory, the moment of truth had arrived. The Serpent device had grown to fill most of the chamber. Its surface was covered with symbols that moved and shifted like living things. Energy conduits connected it to mining equipment spread across the entire planet. "Containment field at 80%, Hyunwoo announced. His voice was now barely recognizable as human. "Beginning energy collection sequence. The modified mining. Equipment across the planet began to hum with power. Quantum processors worked beyond their design limits to process the alien technology. Deep drilling systems that had been built to extract crystals now reached toward the planet's core to tap its energy. But something went wrong. The first wave of Devourers that hit the containment field were indeed trapped, just as planned. But instead of being converted into useful energy, they began to merge together. The collection system was creating something new, hybrid beings that combined Devourer energy with the planet's geological systems. "The containment is working, but not as expected," Yujin called out over the increasing noise. "The trapped Devourers are becoming part of the planet itself." "Is that good or bad?" Min-ho asked. Before anyone could answer, the laboratory shook as a massive explosion occurred somewhere above ground. Captain Soo-jin's voice came through the communication system, filled with static and panic. "Underground team, we have a problem. The trapped Devourers are causing seismic activity. The planet's crust is becoming unstable." Hyunwoo, now more machine than man, processed this information at quantum speeds. "The geological integration is an unexpected side effect, but it might actually help us. If we can control the merged beings, we can use the planet itself as a weapon." "Control them." "How?" Velthara asked. "By completing my integration with the Serpent AI. If I become fully connected to the system, I can guide not just the device, but everything it touches." The silver lines on Hyunwoo's body began to glow brighter. His consciousness expanded again, touching not just the mining equipment and energy conduits, but the trapped Devourers themselves. For the first time, he could sense their thoughts and emotions. What he found there shocked him. The Devourers weren't just hungry energy beings. They were in pain. Something had changed them long ago, turning them from peaceful explorers into consuming destroyers. And now, trapped in the planet's containment field, they were remembering what they used to be. "They want to be healed," Hyunwoo said with wonder. "The Devourers aren't trying to destroy us. They're trying to find a way back to what they were before." Above ground, the battle continued to rage. But something was changing. The Devourers that had been caught in the containment field were no longer attacking human and Kethmori ships. Instead, they were beginning to communicate with the beings still arriving from deep space. Admiral Tae-ho watched in amazement as the energy beings in his local area began to slow their attack. Some even started to retreat toward the edge of the system. "Ji-won, are you seeing this?" "Yes, sir. It's like they're having some kind of conversation with the trapped ones." On the planet's surface, Hyunwoo was facilitating that conversation. His hybrid consciousness could understand both human thoughts and Devourer energy patterns. He was becoming a translator between species, helping the trapped beings explain their situation to their approaching companions. The first phase of the plan had worked, but not in the way anyone expected. Instead of simply trapping and converting, the Devourers, they had created a bridge between species, a way for the energy beings to remember their original purpose and begin to heal from whatever had corrupted them. But the main swarm was still coming, and there were hundreds more Devourers racing toward the system. The real test was just beginning. Admiral Tae-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alarm started blaring throughout Luna Station. He set down his cup and rushed to the main command center. Officers were running between computer stations, their faces filled with worry and confusion. "Report," Tae-ho commanded as he took his position at the central command table. Lieutenant Commander Ji-won looked up from her communications panel. Her usually calm face showed signs of stress. "Sir, we received a priority transmission from the Kepler 442b mining colony 3 hours ago. They claim to have discovered some kind of alien artifact." "Alien artifact?" Tae-ho raised an eyebrow. "Are we sure this isn't just another false alarm? Remember the incident on Europa when the miners thought they found alien technology, but it turned out to be old Earth equipment?" "This is different, sir," Ji-won said, pulling up the transmission data on the main screen. "The energy readings they sent are unlike anything in our databases. And there's more." The main display showed a star map of their local galactic region. Red dots were appearing across the screen, moving toward human space at impossible speeds. "Long-range sensors detected these objects 12 minutes ago," reported sensor technician Min Seo. "They appeared out of nowhere, sir. One moment empty, space. The next moment, massive objects moving faster than anything we have ever recorded." Tae-ho studied the display carefully. The objects were huge, each one larger than Earth's biggest space stations. But what worried him most was their speed and trajectory. They were heading directly for human colonies. "How fast are they moving?" "Current speed calculations don't make sense, sir," Min Seo replied. "They appear to be traveling faster than light, but without any energy signatures that match known propulsion systems. It's like they are bending space around themselves." "Time to intercept?" "If they maintain current speed, they will reach the outer colonies in 18 hours. Tae-ho felt his stomach drop. 18 hours was not enough time to evacuate the outer colonies, and definitely not enough time to mount any kind of defense. "Send immediate evacuation orders to all outer system colonies, priority Alpha, and get me a direct line to Earth Command." "Sir," Ji-won called out from her station, "I'm receiving a transmission. It's coming from one of the approaching objects." The command center fell silent. First contact with alien intelligence was something humanity had prepared for, but not like this. Not with massive objects racing toward their colonies at impossible speeds. "Put it through," Tae-ho ordered. The main screen flickered and changed. Instead of the star map, they now saw something that made everyone in the command center take a step back. The being on the screen was tall and thin, with skin that seemed to glow with inner light. Its face was angular and its eyes were large, and completely black. When it spoke, the words came through clearly, despite the obvious differences in biology. "Greetings, inhabitants of the third planet," the being said. Its voice was calm, but carried an undertone of urgency. "I am Velthara of the Keth Mori. We represent the last survivors of the Nexari civilization." Tae-ho stepped forward. "I am Admiral Tae-ho of the Human Defense Fleet. Your ships are approaching our colonies at high speed. We need to know your intentions." "We come not as invaders, but as those who seek to prevent a catastrophe," Velthara replied. "Your species has awakened something that should have remained dormant. The device you call an artifact is known to us as the ARCANE SERPENT innovation. It was created by our ancestors as both weapon and beacon." "Weapon?" Tae-ho asked. The mining team reported it was some kind of teaching device. "It teaches, yes, but it also calls. Your activation of the Serpent has sent a signal across the galaxy. A signal that has been detected by entities we call the Devourers." Ji-won looked up from her console. "Sir, I'm detecting additional objects on long-range sensors, much larger than the Keth Mori ships, and they're moving even faster." Velthara's expression became grave. "They come. The Devourers are beings of pure energy that consume entire star systems. They feed on the life force of planets and civilizations. The last time the Serpent was activated, it took the combined might of 100 civilizations to stop them." How many civilizations survived that war? Taeho asked, though he feared the answer. Very few. Most were consumed. The Kethemori retreated to the edge of the galaxy and have been watching, waiting for the serpent to awaken again. We hoped it never would. The command center was completely quiet. Everyone understood the implications. Humanity had accidentally called something terrible, and they were not prepared to fight it. What do the Devourers want? Taeho asked. Everything, Velthara replied. They consume planets, stars, entire solar systems. They turn living worlds into empty space. Your species, your planets, your sun, all of it will be food for them. How long do we have? Based on the signal strength from your Serpent device, the main Devourer force will arrive in approximately 6 of your months. The advanced scouts will reach your system much sooner. Captain Sujin had been listening from her position near the communications array. She stepped forward and addressed the alien directly. Is there any way to stop them? Any way to defend ourselves? The Serpent device was designed with defensive capabilities, but only when properly controlled. Your species activated it without understanding its true purpose. The device must be completed and programmed correctly, or it will only make the Devourers stronger. We need to get back to Kepler 442b immediately, Sujin said to Taeho. My ship, the Indomitable, can make the journey in 3 days. Velthara nodded approvingly. This one speaks wisdom. Time is critical. We will accompany your vessel and provide what knowledge we can. But understand this. The task ahead may be impossible. The Serpent device was never meant to be activated by a species as young as yours. Young, maybe, but not helpless, Taeho replied firmly. Humanity has faced extinction before and survived. We will find a way to stop these Devourers. Your confidence is admirable, Admiral. I hope it is also justified. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Everyone understood that their peaceful existence had just come to an end. Humanity was about to face its greatest challenge. Taeho began issuing orders. G1, send word to all fleet commanders. Full military alert. All ships to report for duty immediately. Minseo, I want constant monitoring of those approaching objects. Sujin, prepare the Indomitable for immediate departure to Kepler 432b. What about the colonies, sir? G1 asked. Begin evacuation procedures for all outer system settlements. Priority goes to the furthest colonies first, and send a message to Earth. Tell them we need every available ship and every spare weapon. Humanity is going to war, whether we wanted to or not. As the command center burst into activity, Taeho looked out through the observation windows at the Earth below. Somewhere on that peaceful blue world, people were going about their daily lives with no idea that alien entities were racing across the galaxy to destroy everything they had ever known. The Admiral had faced many challenges in his career, but nothing like this. In 6 months, humanity would either find a way to stop the Devourers or cease to exist entirely. The clock was ticking, and the enemy was already on its way. 6 months had passed since the Kethemori arrived at Kepler 442b. The mining colony had been transformed into a massive research station. Humans and aliens worked side by side, trying to understand the Serpent device before the Devourers arrived. Hyun Woo stood in the main laboratory, staring at the holographic displays that surrounded the floating Serpent artifact. His hands were shaking slightly, and thin lines of silver now ran through his hair. The months of working directly with the alien technology had changed him in ways he was only beginning to understand. The energy patterns are still unstable, said Velthara, the Kethemori technician who had become his closest partner in the research. Her glowing skin pulsed with different colors when she was concentrating. Every time we think we understand the device, it shows us something new. Hyun Woo nodded and walked closer to the Serpent. The artifact was no longer the simple curved shape they had first discovered. After months of activation, it had grown and changed. New sections had appeared, covered with symbols that shifted and moved. Sometimes it looked like a snake, other times like a tree with many branches. "It's learning from us," Hyunwoo said quietly. "Every day we work with it, it becomes more complex, more alive." Behind them, engineer Min Ho was working with a team of human technicians to modify their industrial equipment. They had connected mining drills, quantum processors, and power generators to create something that had never existed before, a hybrid of human and Keth-Mori technology. "Hyunwoo, come look at this," Minho called out. "I think we figured out why the device keeps changing." Hyunwoo walked over to Minho's workstation. The engineer was showing him readouts from their modified scanners. "The Serpent isn't just a weapon or a beacon," Minho explained. "It's an artificial intelligence, but not like our computers. This thing actually thinks and learns. That explains why it responds differently to humans than it does to Keth-Mori," said Yujin, the team's physicist. She had been studying the device's energy output for months. "It's trying to understand both species at the same time." Velthara approached their group. "Your conclusion matches our ancient records. The Serpent was designed to adapt to any species. That activated it. But it was also designed to be controlled by beings who understood its full purpose." "And what was its full purpose?" Hyunwoo asked. "To trap the Devourers and convert their energy into something useful. The Nexari planned to use captured Devourer essence to power faster-than-light travel and terraform dead worlds." Hyunwoo felt his heart racing. "Convert their energy? You mean we don't have to destroy them? We can actually use them?" "In theory, yes. But the process requires someone to merge with the Serpent AI. Someone must become part of the device to guide the conversion process." Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the research station. Captain Sujin's voice came over the communication system. "All personnel to emergency stations. Long-range sensors have detected the Devourer advanced scouts. They will reach the system in 6 hours." Hyunwoo looked around the laboratory. They had made progress, but they were nowhere near ready. The Serpent device was still changing and learning. Their modified equipment was untested, and they had no idea if their theories about energy conversion would actually work. "We need more time," Minho said. "Time we don't have," Yujin replied, checking her instruments. "The device is still too unstable. If we try to use it now, it might explode and take half the planet with it." Hyunwoo walked back to the Serpent artifact. As he approached, the symbols on its surface began glowing brighter. New patterns appeared, showing what looked like star maps and technical diagrams. But there was something else. Images that looked like memories. He saw flashes of ancient battles, massive energy beings attacking planets covered with cities, desperate defenders using weapons that bent reality itself. And finally, a last desperate plan to create a device that could turn the attackers into allies. "The Serpent is showing me the history of the war," Hyunwoo said. "The Nexari weren't just trying to defeat the Devourers. They were trying to save them." Velthara moved closer to the device. "Save them? The Devourers destroyed everything we built?" "No. Look at these images. The Devourers weren't always destroyers. They were explorers, beings of pure energy who traveled between stars. Something changed them, made them hungry and aggressive. The Serpent was designed to change them back." The laboratory fell silent as everyone processed this information. If Hyunwoo was right, then the Devourers weren't evil. They were victims of something else. "That changes everything," Sujin said over the communication system. "But it doesn't change the fact that they're almost here and we're not ready." Hyunwoo made a decision that would change his life forever. He placed his hands directly on the Serpent device. The moment his skin touched the alien metal, electricity shot through his body. Pain beyond anything he had ever experienced filled every nerve. But along with the pain came understanding. The Serpent's knowledge flowed into his mind. He could see how the device worked, how the energy conversion process functioned, and what needed to be done to make it work properly. His team watched in horror as silver lines spread across Hyunwoo's skin. His eyes began glowing with the same light as the serpent device. When he spoke, his voice carried an echo that hadn't been there before. "I can see it now," he said. "I can see what needs to be done. But I can't do it alone. We need to connect the serpent to the planet's core. We need to use the mining equipment to create a containment field that covers the entire system." "Hyunwoo, you need to let go of that thing," Minho said, moving toward his friend. "It's changing you." "I know. But this is the only way. The serpent needs a conscious mind to guide it. Someone who understands both human technology and Kethmori energy manipulation." Velthera studied the readouts on her instruments. "The energy transfer is stabilizing. Somehow, your neural patterns are compatible with the serpent AI, but the process will continue to change you." "I understand the risks," Hyunwoo replied. "But look at what we can accomplish." He gestured to the holographic displays around them. The images now showed detailed blueprints for converting the entire mining operation into a massive energy collection system. They could turn the planet itself into a trap for the devourers. "This is insane," Yujin said. "Even if it works, we don't know what it will do to you. We don't have a choice," Hyunwoo replied. "The scouts will be here in less than 6 hours. If we don't try this, everyone dies anyway." Over the next few hours, the combined human and Kethmori teams worked frantically to implement Hyunwoo's plan. They connected mining drills to quantum processors. They rerouted power cables through alien energy conduits. They turned industrial equipment into components of a weapon that spanned an entire planet. And through it all, Hyunwoo remained connected to the serpent device. The silver lines continued to spread across his body. His consciousness expanded beyond anything human, touching systems and energies across the entire planet. When the first Devourer scouts appeared at the edge of the system, Hyunwoo was ready. He had become something new, part human, part artificial intelligence, part living weapon. The real test was about to begin. The drill bit screamed against the crystal walls as sparks flew in every direction. Hyunwoo wiped sweat from his forehead and stepped back from the massive mining machine. The heat down here in the deep caves of Kepler 442b was almost unbearable, but they were close to something big. He could feel it. "Shut it down for a minute," Hyunwoo called out to his team. The drilling stopped and sudden silence filled the cave. Only the steady hum of their life support systems remained. Kaijin walked, overcarrying a bag of explosive charges. His face was covered in dust, and his mining suit showed signs of the hard work they had been doing for weeks. "Boss, we have been digging for 3 days straight. Maybe we should take a break and report back to Earth Command." "Not yet," Hyunwoo said, shaking his head. "The metal detectors are going crazy down here. There is something buried deep in this crystal formation that does not belong." Dae-Yoon looked up from her scanning equipment. She was the best rock expert the mining company had ever hired. Her instruments could tell them everything about the planet's geological history. "Hyunwoo is right," she said. "These readings don't make sense. The crystals here are only a few thousand years old, but there is something metallic buried inside them that is much older." Boram was working at her computer station that they had set up near the cave entrance. Her job was to keep track of all their equipment and make sure everything ran smoothly. "The quantum processors are showing energy signatures I have never seen before," she called out. "Whatever is down there, it is not natural." Hyunwoo made his decision. "Let's keep digging, but we go slow and careful. If we find something dangerous, we stop immediately." The team went back to work. The drill bit started spinning again, cutting through the beautiful blue crystals that covered the cave walls. These crystals were worth a fortune back on Earth, but Hyunwoo had a feeling they were about to find something much more valuable. 2 hours later, the drill hit empty space. Hyunwoo shut down the machine and grabbed a flashlight. He climbed into the hole they had made and shined his light into the darkness beyond. What he saw made him catch his breath. A chamber opened up before him, larger than their entire mining operation. The walls were covered in smooth metal that seemed to move and shift in the light. But in the center of the chamber, floating just above the ground, was something that made no sense at all. It looked like a snake made of metal and light. The object was about 20 feet long and curved in impossible ways. Parts of it seemed solid, while other parts looked like they were made of pure energy. As Hyunwoo watched, the surface of the snake-like device rippled like water. "Guys, you need to see this," he called back to his team. One by one, they climbed through the hole and into the ancient chamber. Each person stopped and stared when they saw the floating serpent device. "What is that thing?" Kai-jin whispered. Dayun was already scanning it with her equipment. "The metal is not from this planet. Actually, it is not from anywhere in our solar system. The atomic structure is completely unknown." "How is it floating like that?" Bo-Ram asked. "There are no visible power sources, no magnetic fields that our equipment can detect." Hyunwoo walked closer to the device. As he approached, symbols began appearing on its surface. They glowed with soft blue light and seemed to move across the metal skin like living things. "It knows we are here," he said quietly. The serpent device began to emit a low humming sound. The noise was barely audible but seemed to vibrate through their bones. More symbols appeared, covering the entire length of the device. Some looked like star maps, while others resembled mathematical equations. "We should contact Earth Command," Da-un said. "This is way beyond anything we are equipped to handle." But Hyunwoo was fascinated. He had spent his whole life working with machines. He understood how things worked, how to fix them, how to make them better. This device was calling to that part of him. "Look at these symbols," he said. "They are trying to communicate with us." Bo-Ram brought her quantum processor closer to the device. "The energy output is increasing. Whatever this thing is, it is waking up." "Maybe that is not a good idea," Kai-jin said, backing toward the entrance. "We don't know what this thing does or who made it." Hyunwoo ignored his friend's warning. The symbols on the device were becoming clearer. He could see star patterns that looked familiar. One section showed what appeared to be their own solar system. Another section displayed complex diagrams that looked like blueprints for advanced technology. "It is a teaching device," he said with growing excitement. "Look at these patterns. It is showing us how to build things. Advanced things." The humming sound grew louder. The device began to rotate slowly, displaying different sections of symbols and diagrams. Each rotation revealed new information, new possibilities. "Hyunwoo, we really should be careful," Da-un warned. "We don't know what this technology is capable of." But the gearsmith in Hyunwoo could not resist. He had dedicated his life to understanding machines and making them work. This was the ultimate machine, technology beyond anything humans had ever created. The opportunity to learn from it was too valuable to pass up. "Connect the quantum processor." "To it," he ordered Bo-Ram. "Let's see what it wants to teach us." "Boss, are you sure about this?" she asked. "Do it." Bo-Ram hesitated for a moment, then began setting up the connection cables. The quantum processor was their most advanced piece of equipment, capable of handling complex calculations and energy transfers. If anything could safely interface with the alien device, it would be this. The moment the connection was made, everything changed. The serpent device flared with brilliant light. Energy surged through the connection cables and into their quantum processor. Data began flowing at incredible speeds, far faster than their equipment should have been able to handle. The chamber filled with holographic displays. Star maps appeared in the air around them, showing the locations of thousands of star systems. Technical diagrams materialized, displaying technologies that made human engineering look primitive by comparison. But something else happened, too. Deep in space, far beyond the edge of their solar system, ancient sensors detected the activation signal. Automated systems that had been dormant for centuries began to wake up, and in the darkness between the stars, something that had been waiting for a very long time finally received the message it had been hoping to hear. The Arcane Serpent innovation was active again. Hyun-woo and his team had no idea that their discovery would change the fate of humanity forever. They stood in that ancient chamber, watching holographic wonders unfold around them, completely unaware that they had just announced their presence to forces beyond their imagination. The Serpent device continued to share its secrets, and the humans continued to learn. Neither side realized that the lesson had only just begun. The planet's surface was no longer safe. Captain Soo-jin led the final evacuation into the deep mining tunnels where Hyun-woo had first discovered the Serpent device. Above them, the atmosphere burned with energy as hundreds of devourers circled. "The planet like hungry wolves. Seal the tunnel entrances," Soo-jin ordered her remaining troops. "If the surface becomes completely consumed, these underground chambers might be our only chance of survival." The underground command center had been moved to the original discovery chamber. The Serpent device now filled the entire space, its metal surface flowing like liquid as it continued to grow and change. Hyun-woo stood at its center, no longer recognizable as the man who had led a simple mining operation 6 months ago. His body was now more silver than flesh. Energy flowed through him like blood, connecting him to every system on the planet. When he spoke, his voice echoed with the wisdom of the ancient Serpent AI and the determination of human will. "The conversion process is working," he announced to the assembled team. "But it requires more than just trapping the devourers. Someone must guide their transformation consciously. Someone must become the bridge between what they are and what they were meant to be." Engineer Minho approached his old friend carefully. The energy radiating from Hyun-woo made his skin tingle. "What are you saying? That you have to become completely connected to that thing?" "Not just connected. Merged. The Serpent AI was designed to work with a living consciousness, but not a human one. The process is changing me into something that can handle both human, technology, and devourer energy patterns." Physicist Yu Jin studied her instruments with growing concern. "Hyun-woo, the neural integration is accelerating. At this rate, you won't be human anymore within the next few hours." "I know," he replied calmly. "But look what we can accomplish." He gestured to the holographic displays that surrounded the chamber. The images showed the planet's surface, but it looked completely different now. Where there had once been mountains and valleys, there were now flowing patterns of energy. The trapped devourers had merged with the planet's geological systems, creating something entirely new. "The planet itself is becoming a healing device," Hyun-woo explained. "The devourers that are trapped here are remembering their original nature. They're becoming teachers instead of destroyers." Velthara studied the energy readings with amazement. "This is beyond anything the Nexari ever planned. You're not just converting devourer energy, you're healing their corruption. But the process needs guidance. Every devourer that gets trapped needs someone to help them remember who they used to be. The Serpent AI can do the technical work, but it needs human creativity and empathy to reach their consciousness." Above ground, the situation was becoming critical. Admiral Tae-ho's remaining ships were falling back to the planet's immediate orbit. The Devourers had consumed 3 more planets in the system and were now focusing all their attention on Kepler 442b. "Captain Soo-jin, report," Tae-ho called through the communication system. "We're sealed in the underground chambers, Admiral. The surface is completely overrun. But something strange is happening. The Devourers aren't trying to break through to us. They're just circling overhead." "They're waiting," Hyun-woo said, his voice carrying through the communication system, too. "All the ships in orbit. The trapped Devourers are trying to explain the healing process to the ones still arriving. But there are too many of them, and not enough time." Da-un, the geologist who had first scanned the Serpent device, approached the central chamber. "Hyun-woo, the seismic readings are off the charts. The planet's core is destabilizing." If this continues, the whole world will break apart. I can stabilize it, Hyunwoo replied, but only if I complete the merger with the Serpent AI. I need to become the planet's consciousness, its guiding intelligence. That's suicide, Minho protested. You'll lose everything that makes you human. Will I? Or will I become something more than human? Something that can save not just our species, but the devourers as well. The chamber shook as another wave of energy beings struck the planet's surface. Through the serpent's sensors, Hyunwoo could feel their confusion and pain. They wanted to feed, but they also wanted to understand what was happening to their trapped companions. I can reach them, he said, but I need help. The conversion process requires more than just one consciousness. It needs a team of people willing to interface with the system. Yoo-jin stepped forward without hesitation. I'll do it. If there's a chance to save everyone, I have to take it. The energy feedback could kill you, Hyunwoo warned. Better than watching everyone die anyway. Minho and Da-eun exchanged looks, then moved toward the serpent device as well. We started this together, Minho said. We should finish it together. Bo-ram, who had been quietly maintaining the computer systems throughout the crisis, joined them. My quantum processors can handle the data integration. I'm in. Even Captain Soo-jin approached the device. My job is to protect people. If this is how I can do that, then this is where I belong. One by one, the team members placed their hands on different sections of the serpent device. Energy flowed through them, connecting their minds to the vast artificial intelligence that had been waiting centuries for this moment. The pain was incredible, but so was the understanding that came with it. Each person could suddenly feel the thoughts and emotions of the trapped devourers. They could sense the corruption that had changed the energy beings from peaceful explorers into consuming destroyers thousands of years ago. More importantly, they could feel the possibility of healing. Working together, the merged human-AI consciousness began reaching out to the devourers circling the planet. Instead of words or images, they communicated in pure emotion and memory. They showed the energy beings what they had been before the corruption. They shared human concepts of friendship, cooperation, and hope. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of devourers stopped their attack and began descending toward the planet's surface. But instead of consuming it, they allowed themselves to be drawn into the conversion system. It's working, Yoo-jin gasped, her consciousness stretched across multiple dimensions. They want to be healed. They're choosing to be trapped so they can remember who they used to be. But the process was taking a terrible toll on the human participants. Da-eun collapsed as her nervous system overloaded from the energy feedback. Minho's hair turned completely silver as the alien technology rewrote his neural pathways. We can't keep this up much longer, Bo-ram warned, her voice strained with effort. Hyunwoo made his final decision. Then I'll take all the load myself, disconnect from the system. I'll complete the process alone. Hyunwoo, no, Soo-jin protested. The energy requirements will kill you. Maybe. Or maybe they'll turn me into something that can guide this process for as long as it takes. There are thousands of devourers out there. They all deserve the chance to be healed. One by one, his teammates disconnected from the serpent device. The full weight of the conversion process fell on Hyunwoo's consciousness. His body began to glow with the same energy as the device itself. I can feel them all, he said, his voice now carrying harmonics that no human throat could produce. Every devourer in the galaxy. They're all connected, all part of the same wounded consciousness. And now, finally, they can begin to heal. The chamber filled with blinding light as Hyunwoo completed his merger with the Serpent AI. When the light faded, he was gone. In his place stood something new, a being of both flesh and energy, human creativity and artificial intelligence, mortal understanding and immortal purpose. The transformation was complete. The real work could finally begin. 1 year later, the Kepler system looked nothing like it had before the Devourers arrived. Where dead planets had once orbited the star, now there were worlds covered in flowing energy patterns that pulsed with life. The converted Devourers had used their power to restore what they had consumed, creating something even more beautiful than what had existed before. Admiral Tae-ho stood on the observation deck of the new space station that orbited Kepler 442b. The planet below glowed with soft blue and silver light. Cities of living energy stretched across continents that shifted and changed like slow ocean waves. It was the first world to be completely integrated with Serpent technology. "Status report," he requested from his aide. "All systems are functioning." "Perfectly, Admiral. The energy conduits are carrying power to 17 different star systems. Construction of the new colony ships is ahead of schedule, and we've received first contact signals from 43 different civilizations." Tae-ho smiled. The transformation of the Devourers had created technology beyond humanity's wildest dreams, energy that could be shaped into any form. Transportation, systems that moved faster than light by folding space itself. Manufacturing processes that could build entire cities in days. Any word from the exploration fleets? Captain Soo-jin reports successful terraforming of the Vega system. The dead worlds there are now suitable for both human and Keth-Mori habitation. Completion time was 6 weeks instead of the projected 6 centuries. In the command center of her exploration ship, Captain Soo-jin watched as machines made of pure energy shaped a barren planet into a garden world. The converted Devourers worked alongside human engineers and Keth-Mori technicians, turning lifeless rock into fertile soil in a matter of hours. "It still amazes me every time I see it," she said to her first officer. "A year ago, we thought these beings were going to destroy us. Now they're helping us create paradise." "The terraforming process is complete on the second planet, Captain," reported Lieutenant Min-seo. "Atmospheric composition is perfect for human life. We can begin colonization immediately." Soo-jin nodded. "Send word to Earth Command. Another system is ready for settlement." But the most remarkable changes had occurred in the original Kepler system. The planet where Hyun-woo had first discovered the Serpent device was now the center of the new galactic civilization. And at its heart was something that had never existed before, a being who was simultaneously human, artificial intelligence, and energy-based life form. In the deepest chambers of the living planet, Hyun-woo existed in a state that would have been impossible to imagine a year earlier. His consciousness stretched across multiple dimensions, touching every system in the galaxy that used Serpent technology. He could be in 1,000 places at once, guiding terraforming projects, facilitating communication between species, and continuing the great work of healing the universe, yet he was still fundamentally human. When engineer Min-ho visited the chamber to consult on technical problems, they could still talk as old friends. "The new manufacturing systems are working perfectly," Min-ho reported. "We've built 16 new starships this month using converted Devourer energy. Each one can carry 1 million colonists to new worlds." "Good," Hyun-woo replied, his voice now coming from speakers throughout the chamber rather than from any physical form. "But remember to include recreational areas in the designs. Humans need beauty as much as they need function." "I'll remember. How are you feeling about all this? Do you ever regret what you became?" Hyun-woo considered the question. "I miss some things about being purely human. The taste of food, the feeling of rain on skin. But I've gained so much more. I can feel the joy of every person who settles on a new world. I can sense the gratitude of every healed devourer as they remember their original purpose. I've become part of something larger than any individual could be." In the research laboratories, physicist Yoo-jin worked with teams of scientists from dozens of different species. The integration of human creativity, Keth-Mori energy manipulation, and Serpent Artificial Intelligence had created new branches of science that were advancing knowledge at an incredible rate. Director Yu Jin called one of her assistants. "We're receiving signals from the Andromeda Galaxy. They appear to be distress calls." Yujin looked up from her quantum calculations. "Distress calls? From another galaxy?" "Yes, ma'am. The translation systems indicate that civilizations there are under attack by entities similar to the original Devourers. They're asking for help. This was the moment everyone had been preparing for. The healing of the Devourers in their own galaxy had been just the beginning. There were corrupted energy beings throughout the universe, and now humanity had the technology and knowledge to help them all. "Contact Admiral Tae-ho and Captain Su-jin," Yu-jin ordered. "We have work to do." Response was immediate and overwhelming. Within days, volunteer fleets from hundreds of worlds assembled in the Kepler system. Humans, Keth-Mori, and converted Devourers all working together to bring healing to distant galaxies. The ships they launched were marvels of combined technology. Each vessel carried serpent devices that could establish healing centers on any world. The hulls were made of living metal that could repair itself and adapt to any environment. The crews included representatives from every species in the Alliance, but most importantly, each ship carried a fragment of Hyunwoo's consciousness. His ability to bridge the gap between different forms of life made him the perfect ambassador to corrupted energy beings anywhere in the universe. As the fleets departed for Andromeda, Hyunwoo felt a deep satisfaction. The terrible threat that had almost destroyed humanity had been transformed into their greatest gift to the universe. The Devourers were no longer destroyers. They were healers, teachers, and builders of new worlds. On Earth, in the great libraries where human history was recorded, scholars wrote about the year when everything changed. They called it the time, when humanity learned that even the greatest threats could become the greatest opportunities. When faced with extinction, humans had chosen not just to survive, but to heal their enemies and transform the galaxy. In the deep space between galaxies, ancient monitoring stations detected the departure of the healing fleets. Automated systems that had been dormant for millions of years began sending signals to civilizations that had hidden themselves from the corrupted Devourers for eons. The message was simple but profound. Help was coming. Humanity had found its place in the universe, not as conquerors or victims, but as healers and builders. They had taken the galaxy's greatest threat and turned it into a force for creation and renewal. And in the heart of the Kepler system, Hyunwoo continued his work. Part human, part machine, part energy being, he had become something new. He was the living symbol of what was possible when different forms of life chose cooperation over conflict. The age of fear was ending. The age of healing had begun. As the last of the exploration fleets disappeared into the darkness between galaxies, Hyunwoo sent a final message to all the worlds of the Alliance. "We are no longer bound by the limitations of our origins. We have learned to transform threats into opportunities, enemies into allies, destruction into creation. This is our gift to the universe, not domination, but healing, not conquest, but cooperation. We go now to share this gift with all who need it." The message spread across 1,000 worlds, carried by energy conduits that connected star systems, like neurons in a vast cosmic brain. Humanity had become the immune system of the universe, healing corruption wherever it was found. The ARCANE SERPENT innovation had given them the power to transform reality itself, and they intended to use that power to make the universe a better place for all forms of life. The greatest adventure in human history was just beginning.